by this group CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations. American Muslim group calls for advertisers to drop Fox News unless Jeanine Pirro, Tucker Carlson are fired. The council, and by the way, they've been behind the boycott of Judge Pirro from the beginning. Council on American Islamic Relations is calling on all advertisers to drop Fox News until the network fires host Jeanine Pirro and Tucker Carlson due to comments by both hosts that the civil rights group called Islamophobic. There's no such thing as Islamophobic, as we discussed yesterday. This is a made-up word by groups like CAIR. Fox News must clearly state that Jeanine Pirro will not be allowed back on the air after her long history of Islamophobic hate rhetoric, and the network must also take similar action against other Islamophobic hosts like Tucker Carlson. CAIR National Executive Director Nihad Awad said in a statement, "I'll get to you, Nihad Awad, you Nimrod. That's right. You don't scare me. All existing advertisers should drop their ads on Fox News," he insists, "to ensure that they are not associated with the promotion of hate." The council, they write, more commonly known as CAIR, is one of the largest and most influential civil rights organizations for Muslim Americans. Fox News preempted Jeanine Pirro's weekly Saturday show on Saturday, 1 week after the former federal judge, she was never a federal judge, you idiot, suggested on air that Representative Ilhan Omar may not fully support the United States Constitution because she's Muslim, a statement that the network said last week that it strongly condemns. And by the way, CAIR, she is a dyed-in-the-wool, bald-faced anti-Semite. Do you disagree with that? Your friend Ilhan Omar. Yes. And they go on with their attack. The Council on Islamic Relations is calling on all advertisers to drop Fox News until the network fires host Jeanine Pirro, they keep at it, Tucker Carlson, due to comments by both hosts that the civil rights group called Islamophobic. It's not a civil rights group, it's a front group, as I'll get to in a minute. Fox News must clearly state that they will not be allowed back on the air, that Jeanine Pirro won't. After her long history, all right, they repeat themselves. Now, CAIR. We'll get started now. This may go on after the bottom of the hour. Our friends at the Clarion Project, an outstanding group, an outstanding site. The Council on American Islamic Relations describes itself as America's largest Islamic civil liberties group. In reality, CAIR grew out of the Islamic Association for Palestine, AIP, a group founded in 1981 by Hamas member Musa Abu Marzouk. Marzouk is now a senior Hamas official. U.S. Muslim Brotherhood documents clearly identify the IAP, the Islamic Association for Palestine, as one of its fronts, that is Hamas's fronts. In 1993, the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood Palestine Committee organized a secret meeting in Philadelphia that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, wiretapped. The participants, which included two future CAIR founders, Nihad Awad, the man you just heard from, who demands that Tucker Carlson and Jeanine Pirro be fired or they're going to run a boycott against Fox. Nihad Awad and Omar Ahmad discussed how to support Hamas, and in the words of a 2009 ruling by a federal judge, quote, goals, strategies, and American perceptions of the Muslim Brotherhood, unquote. Ahmad was recorded discussing how to modify language about destroying Israel for an American audience. The need to create a new neutral entity for influencing U.S. policy and opinion was agreed upon because, as they said, quote, it is known who we are, unquote. CAIR was formed by Awad and Ahmad the next year. In 1994, U.S. Muslim Brotherhood Palestine Committee meeting agenda includes, quote, suggestions to develop work of CAIR and IOP. In 2007, the U.S. government labeled CAIR an unindicted co-conspirator in the trial of the Holy Land Foundation for financing the Hamas terrorist group. CAIR was listed among, quote, individuals, entities who were members of the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood's Palestine Committee and or its organizations, unquote. The Palestine Committee is a secret body set up to advance the Brotherhood/Hamas agenda. In 2007, a case against convicted terrorist Sabri Bikala, federal prosecutors claimed from its founding by Muslim Brotherhood leaders, CAIR conspired with other affiliates of the Muslim Brotherhood to support terrorists. The conspirators agreed to use deception to conceal from the American public their connections to terrorism. Or terrorists, I should say. More when I return.
Mark Levin, the great one.
The great one, Mark Levin.
Dial in now, 877-381-3811.
It would seem like CAIR has an Americophobia problem, Mr. Producer, doesn't it? It's amazing that this organization has any credibility whatsoever, and how the media let it slide. The media let it slide. So just to repeat, in 2007, the U.S. government labeled CAIR an unindicted co-conspirator in the trial of the Holy Land Foundation for financing the Hamas terrorist group. CAIR was listed among individuals and entities who are and were members of the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood's Palestine Committee and or its organizations. The Palestine Committee is a secret body set up to advance the Brotherhood-Hamas agenda. On July 1, 2009, U.S. District Court Judge Jorge Salas upheld CAIR's designation as an unindicted co-conspirator because of quote-unquote ample evidence linking it to Hamas. However, he also ruled that the designation should not have been made public. Well, it was, and here we are. In November 2014, CAIR was designated as a terrorist organization by the United Arab Emirates, along with a host of other Muslim Brotherhood entities. On 1991 U.S. Muslim Brotherhood memorandum, which was entered as evidence in the Holy Land Foundation trial, describes the Brotherhood's role as engaging in a civilization jihadist project. It states, quote, the Muslim Brotherhood must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. We must possess a mastery of the art of coalitions, the art of absorption, and the principles of cooperation. Now, who are the key players? Nihad Awad, executive director at CAIR, who's leading the charge against Tucker Carlson and Janine Pirro and Fox. In 1994, Awad said, I am in support of the Hamas movement more than the PLO. That same year, he said Hamas is right to defend themselves against illegal occupation. In 2004, Al Jazeera asked him about the U.S. designations of Hamas and Hezbollah as foreign terrorist organizations. He answered, we do not and will not condemn any liberation movement inside Palestine or Lebanon. Ibrahim Hooper, a CAIR spokesman. Hooper previously worked for the IAP. In 1993, he said, I wouldn't want to create the impression that I wouldn't like the government of the United States to be Islamic sometime in the future. In 2003, he said that Sharia, Islamic law, would replace the U.S. Constitution if Muslims became the majority. Omar Ahmed served as CAIR's chairman until 2005. He served as senior executive in the Palestine Committee, an umbrella organization of U.S.-based Hamas support groups. He was listed personally as one of those who are and or were members of the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood's Palestine Committee and or its organizations by the U.S. District Court in the U.S. versus Holy Land Foundation case. International funding and loss of tax-exempt status. CAIR has two separate nonprofit entities, CAIR and the Washington Trust Foundation, which is legal if they are separate, if they act separately. However, they act as one, says the Clearing Project. Foreign donors write checks to CAIR, and they are deposited into the dual account, which effectively hides the original source. This money is sent to the CAIR Foundation. The donors must be reported, but the original sources remained hidden by routing the funds in this manner. The transfer of $1.8 million from the CAIR Action Network to the CAIR Foundation occurred over a 5-year period. In September 2013, it was reported that CAIR was violating the IRS laws and Foreign Agent Registration Act by hiding foreign donors. The report claimed that CAIR has engaged in more than 100 political influence operations on behalf of foreign principals in the United States. Top CAIR officials asked the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi to, quote, help pay for the distribution of 1 million Qurans in September 2009. Nihad Awad, CAIR's executive director, also requested that Gaddafi fund the creation of the Muslim Peace Foundation, another nonprofit group. And over a 5-year period, Qatar, the main sponsor of the Muslim Brotherhood, gave CAIR at least $405,000. Top CAIR officials have also approached Sudan for money. They had plans to solicit $50 million in governmental and non-governmental contributions from Saudi Arabia. Additionally, various sources in the United Arab Emirates, including its embassy in the U.S., have given over $450,000. CAIR lost its tax-exempt status in 2011 because it was one of 275,000 groups that, quote, failed to file required annual reports, known as Form 990, detailing the revenues and expenses for 3 consecutive years. Should I go on, or is everybody bored? CAIR and related U.S. Muslim Brotherhood entities follow a doctrine called gradualism. It is a form of jihad based on pragmatism, patience, long-term planning, and self-evaluation. This self-evaluation and strategy recalibration leads the West to perceive its ideology and behavior as moderate. Muslim Brotherhood spiritual leader Youssef Qaradawi stated gradualism and applying the Sharia is a wise requirement to follow. The FBI seized a Muslim Brotherhood document in 2004 that laid out its plan to overtake the West. The plan consisted of 5 phases. 1, the secret establishment of leadership. 2, the gradual appearance on the public scene. Phase 2 calls for infiltrating various sectors of government, gaining religious institutions, gaining public support and sympathy, and establishing a shadow government. These are quotes. 3, escalation phase, focusing on utilizing mass media. The document says that this stage is currently in progress. 4, open confrontation with the government through political pressure and training on the use of weapons domestically. The document says that there are noticeable activities in this regard. Of course, the final phase is seizing power. Now, CAIR, back to CAIR, wages an unrelenting campaign to discredit its critics as anti-Muslim bigots, as you see with Tucker Carlson and Jeanine Pirro, and moderate Muslim opponents as puppets of an Islamophobia network. A former member of the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood Network, Abdur Rahman Muhammad, publicly described a secret meeting in which he took part where the decision was made to use the term Islamophobia as a political weapon. Quote, this loathsome term is nothing more than a thought-terminating cliche conceived in the bowels of Muslim think tanks for the purpose of beating down critics, Muhammad says. In July 2013, when NYPD Police Commissioner Ray Kelly was considered as a replacement for Janet Napolitano as Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, CAIR worked to block his possible nomination. CAIR highlighted Kelly in its newsletter and claimed he had an association with Islamic-phobic fringes because he appeared in the Third Jihad, Radical Islam's Vision for America, a critically acclaimed film produced by the Clarion Project and narrated by our friend Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. And it goes on. Let's see. During November 2011, moderate Muslims Omar Jamal and Adirak Bihi participated in a Somali culture seminar in Minnesota that included a session about the terrorist group Al-Shabaab, and Al-Qaeda affiliate. CAIR complained about Al-Shabaab's description in the seminar, which they claim fails to distinguish between Islam and terrorism. Lori Soraya, CAIR Minnesota president, wrote, these individuals who have no credibility in the Somali community are going to be educating law enforcement. At the time, He served in Somali's UN delegation, and it goes on. We can link to this, Mr. Producer. So why don't the media honestly tell us about CAIR? CAIR is now leading an effort to destroy Tucker Carlson and Jeanine Pirro, and more broadly, Fox. They want people to boycott Fox. Well, why don't people boycott the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR? Why don't people boycott CAIR and prevent them from going on TV and radio? Why don't people boycott CAIR and have the IRS take another look at this organization, its funding, its activities? Why don't TV stations, TV networks, radio stations, radio networks stand up to these bullies rather than bend to them? There are legitimate organizations in this country that represent all kinds of ethnic groups and religious groups, including Muslims. This, in my view, is not one of them. And yet it has a big role in the Democrat Party. It had a big role in the government of Barack Obama. Now it has a big role in attacking conservatives and Republicans and attacking people who don't bow to its demands and its agenda. It was founded in Philadelphia in the mid-1900s, 1990s, as we discussed. And in my view, it's a front group. Just as Media Matters is a front group for the left and the Democrats. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.